Welcome to the Franchise Aus podcast, your inside edge on Aussie franchising. Views expressed by the hosts and guests of this show are general in nature, so please always seek independent professional advice before making any franchise or business investment decision. Today I'm joined by Joel Kleber, the Chief Marketing Officer of Gyms Group, who's turned the Gyms Group into a content creation and franchise inquiry recruitment powerhouse. He's a big believer that people don't buy franchises, they buy a better future. We're diving into how he's reshaping franchise marketing and what businesses can learn from Jim's success. Joel, welcome to the Franchise Aus podcast.
Yeah, thanks, John, and thanks for reaching out and having me on.
All right, I suppose we can start there, Joel. So many franchise brands still rely on traditional lead generation to procure franchisees. What's the shift they need to make, you reckon, to stay up to date and relevant in today's landscape?
Well, you need content, and people might go, that sounds obvious, and it is obvious, but you need to produce consistent video content, and you need to do that daily and post on multiple channels daily, in my opinion, as well. We've been doing that since 2019, and we've really ramped it up the last 2-3 years, and our results speak for themselves. If you look at our training numbers, every month, used to be every 3 weeks, but every month now, 150, 140 people in training. And I ask them all, what did you watch before coming to training? And people might say 30 podcasts, 40 podcasts. I've watched all the videos. I've watched every single video on the Facebook page, which is literally thousands of bits of content before even inquiring. And then once they do it, they watch more to get more confidence in the brand. And then when they come to training, it's great. They've watched all this stuff online, and then they meet Jim in person. They feel as though they know him, and they tell him that all the time. And it just makes for a far better connection for people as well. And it makes for a better prospect. We know that if a franchisee's watched hours of video content and listened to interviews with franchisees, they're going to be such a far better franchisee than those who don't. But most of them do now these days as well. It's actually a concern for us, or a red flag, when a franchisee comes to training and hasn't listened to a podcast or watched at least one video. So it's really, really important. And where franchise brands go wrong is they expect agencies to generate high quality inquiries, yet they've got a video from 5 years ago or an outdated YouTube channel, but expect agencies to deliver them high quality candidates. I think times have changed. We've been doing it for 5 years. Basically, I was inspired by the Gary Vee sort of methodology, and that same content model is what I've tried to do with gyms. With our limited resources, we don't have as much budget as Gary Vee, but we do it at our level, and it works for us.
Do you think, and this goes for both franchisees and franchisors, do you think they perhaps think it's beyond their scope or hard to get content up? For example, here we are, I'm talking to you on a podcast, I'm on my laptop at home, I'm going to run this through a platform and it's going to generate a video, and that can go on social media. People don't necessarily need a massive budget, do they? They can really do this shoestringing it, right?
Absolutely. The best thing for your content now is your phone. You don't need video agencies, you don't need expensive teams. Want video, genuine. They always say this word, authentic, right? But simple selfie phone videos. Doesn't matter if you're a franchisor or a franchisee, just showing what you do, documenting what you do, talking about what you do is really, really effective as well. It's a great signal for Google as well, because when you take that video or that photo has a location with it as well. So when you feed that into Google, you're giving it extra signals as well to give more authority and relevance to yourself. You don't need it. We used to have in the day, you would go to a video production agency because creating video was expensive, but now it's not expensive at all. And where brands go wrong is they want to outsource and get a perfect 3-minute video, which is tight with messaging and all that sort of stuff. And it might cost them $4 or $5 grand to produce, and they post it one and it doesn't hit the mark. Well, then what do? So they lower end video production, but actual quality content is what franchisees and what prospects into a franchise really want. They don't really care too much about if the video is in 4K or whatever it is. They care about the quality of the information. And for a local franchisee as well, there's massive, in our home services fields, there's massive accounts online of home service businesses who just do everything with the phone, and they've got millions and millions of followers as well, and generate all their leads via their inbound profile with their social media, which is all done with the phone. So you don't need to have all this fancy stuff now. And then obviously AI, you can use video editing tools with AI to make it a lot easier as well, especially for repurposing content like you'll do with this podcast. You'll repurpose it many ways, and using AI for that. Before AI, back 3 or 4 years ago, I used to have to outsource it and pay for it, but now I can just pay a subscription and get it all done. So the barrier to entry is really, really, really low, and people think that it is a lot higher than maybe what it is, but they also overthink it. I think people overthink how everything has to be 4K, really well produced, flashy graphics. It doesn't really need to be. There's so much content going around online now. It's sort of a must to do video content. Well, how do you stand out? being a bit more genuine, being a bit more unpolished and unscripted is definitely a way to do that.
What's your take? Some of your main competitors across various divisions aren't putting video content up on social media. Now, by that, I mean, you guys have proliferated and put a couple of thousand videos and you've repurposed and you use AI, but most of them don't even have like 10. Like, what's that down?
Yeah, I find it real. I don't know what it is down to. Maybe they just don't get it. Maybe they don't follow me for daily tips about how to do it. But we've been doing it since 2019. I know a lot of brands and stuff watch us because they come up to me at various things and tell me. But I think there's a lot of their management or the founders who own the business don't think it's relevant or important, and they think they can generate leads the other way. And I think a lot of other people in the business who are doing the sales and stuff do get it. But trying to get leadership on board is a challenge. And, with me, for example, the way I was able to do it, I didn't just come in as an outsider to gyms from 2019 and do it. I already was there, had a little bit of a reputation, and slowly some of my initiatives sort of paid off for the brand. And that's why I could do more and more. Whereas now I've got pretty much free reign and all the franchisors trust me. So you do have to build trust as well. But I think, I just don't think a lot of brands get it, to be honest with you, John. I just don't know why. There's so much content from Gary Vee and stuff and just showing you the process and why social media is crucial, especially in franchising. Like, people are trying to give you sometimes their life savings to buy this business. All right.
Yep.
What extra information can you do to help me choose with you over others? And our video content is definitely one of the massive key differentiators for us. But look, information packs, everyone does them. All right. Information packs, they do these webinars, which are all hidden. No one tells you anything before you inquire, and sometimes even pay $5,000 to get the details of franchisees to call. I think that's ridiculous. Back in 2019, all the stuff that Jim was saying, you see online now, I used to hear internally, but we had no platform to push it. So I said, let's just be transparent as possible. Everything out there, people like it, hate it, whatever, but people will know who we are and what we stand for before they come to us. And it's a massive key point of difference for us. If people look between us and 5 other franchises now, and they come to training, they'll literally tell me, they'll go, that's all the videos you do. That's what got me here. And then when I went to the observation day, I talked to the franchisor, everything marries up, and then they come into training. And I just don't think other brands, if they don't get it by now, their marketing teams, I'm sure they do get it. I just think the blockers are the people in the business. That's just my honest opinion, and that might be wrong. But I just do think it's people in the business who have to allocate the funds and make the budget decisions. Don't do that for video content for whatever reason.
There's clearly a lag time between what is possible out there and what is happening amongst your competitors, which they've got fair bit of sort of non-movement in that particular space. And it's going to take some lateral thinking heads perhaps to come in and say, this is how we want to do it now.
Well, look at footy teams. A lot of my inspiration for stuff is from footy teams. Why do footy teams do daily videos and social media and interviews and all sorts of stuff left, right and centre? Because they want you to feel more connected with the business. So you buy more memberships and go to more games. We're the same.
Yeah.
We do daily videos, so you feel more connected to the business, and we get you interested and you build that trust over time, and then you buy a franchise. So ours is not $1,000 membership. Ours is a $30,000, $40,000 membership. And for what we actually invest in video content is really, really small compared to the actual overall return. And I know it helps influence most of our franchise decisions now. And if you put a dollar value of that Gyms Group franchise, when we're selling more than 1,000 a year, let's say the average is 20K or 30K, for what we actually pay to produce that content compared to the output, what it helps produce, it's really small.
Some of the numbers have been mind-boggling as well. So you've got a couple of million views across the various platforms, literally hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and repurposed content that's proliferating across all of the social platforms. You must have a situation now where there must be a spillover. You're kind of doing some competitors' job for them. That's it. Watch a couple of gym videos, and for whatever reason, at the end, they've gone with Pepsi instead of Coca-Cola.
Yeah, you're right. So that probably does happen. But yeah, sometimes we've actually had people from other brands go to another brand first and not have a good time, then come into us as well. And so I should have went with gyms and just waited till I saved a bit more money. But yes, you're right. We're going a bit more of a route now where we're just trying to promote home services as a great industry for young people, especially to get into, whether it's with gyms mowing or Gyms Group or whatever else. I just think that message, Americans do it really well. So channels like Cody Sanchez and that, when they say this pressure washing guy makes $1 million a year with 3 crafts, we're going to show you how, that sort of stuff we're trying to replicate with us in Australia. And problems with Australians is a lot of tall poppy syndrome, whereas the Americans are like, show me how to do it. Whereas the Australians want to cut that person down and say, what about the net profit? What about GST? What about all this sort of stuff? And they want to talk it down. So we're sort of trying to go that route at the moment, just trying to plant the seed that, look, you don't have to go to uni or do a trade. You can, do a home services business and make a really, really good living. We'll show you how. But if that means they go into other businesses and other brands, then so be it. But that's sort of the angle we're moving forward with.
Now, I think you're uniquely positioned because you've spoken to literally thousands of franchisees and franchisors because you interview them daily, weekly, all the time now. And you would have picked up a lot of key distinctions and insights through those conversations and interactions. So, in your experience, what are some of the key traits that make a good franchisee? Does it come down to mindset? I think it's mindset over education, isn't it?
Yeah, proactive attitude, accountability. How can I get better? How can I improve? They're the main things as well. And all the basic stuff with customer service that you would expect a good business to do. When a lead comes through, either get the transfer straight to your phone or call it back with less than a minute. And then when you do what you say, you rock up when you say, you be in uniform. They're the basic things. Get the basics right and have a really positive attitude, and you do well. And one of our trainers, John Wilds, is a really good example of this. So John Wilds got a staff, I think around 10 staff. He's now got I think he's bought $1 million plus factory. You won't mind me saying that. But John is not and John will tell you this himself. He's not an overly, he's not going to be in Mensa or anything like that. But he's a bloody good customer service. I was out with him in a day on the road one time. He had like 30 phone calls from like property managers and all that sort of stuff. And you hear him on the phone. He's just real personable, relatable, answers their calls, does what they want to do, does a great job, all that sort of stuff, the basics. Has a really good attitude, real positive, proactive attitude. He's got a multi-million-dollar business. Like he's probably, I don't know what his exact revenue is, but he's probably doing close to $1 million a year. And it's all based on his positive attitude. Nothing special, just that consistent, proactive, positive attitude.
The power of likability and being where you're going to be and do what you're going to do and, find ways to connect and find ways to value add. I just don't think you can put a real price on it and what that carries.
You can't. And that's where our challenge of the group at the moment is like, we can get leads all the time, but if a franchisee keeps asking us for leads and they're not converting any regulars or they're not being proactive anyway in their local area marketing, it's a really bad sign for us. So we're trying to, at the moment, create a lot of resources on the internet and stuff to try and really challenge franchisees when they start. Hey, the leads will get you halfway, but it's all the other stuff like the good customer service, asking for referrals, doing all the basics that will help you build a really, really good business as well. So, that's something at the moment we're trying to do and trying to replicate, someone like John's beliefs and attitudes into more training and stuff for franchisees, and being more proactive in their business is the key for us moving forward.
Excellent. Just hold it there, another question. If you could give one or two pieces of advice then to grow a strong, sustainable business for a franchisee, as well as all the fundamentals like being on time and doing the job you say you're going to do, are there any others?
I think if you need to generate more leads now, the best thing you can do is give Google as much data as possible so that every time you upload a photo, you're giving it a signal that you operate in that location and that you do a great job. Same with reviews and stuff like that. Now, it sounds like it's obvious, but not a lot of people do it. But franchisees who have updating their Google My Business or Google Business every week with a post with real photos out on real jobs, which then tags the location data in the image, and Google all biggest brand signals about that you're in the area and that you do a good job as well, and regular reviews from customers as well from their location in their house, which obviously has a location on it as well, gives Google more data about your business. So I think getting your online reputation and being known locally as a local celebrity almost because they see you everywhere, posting a selfie video on Facebook at a job or in local Facebook groups or doing the online reviews or uploading photos of your jobs into multiple platforms all the time. That's what really good franchisees can do. That's what all good businesses can do as well. It's becoming more and more important. It's becoming more competitive. Google Ads is becoming more expensive and harder to generate good quality leads. So you can do yourself a favor as a business by giving Google extra data, which is the photos, and getting high quality reviews from people in your area. And that will help you get more leads in your business.
Have franchisees coming through the system, have they got buy-in into that? I know you run a good 3-day course. I was actually lucky enough to sit in on that course. It's a pretty comprehensive course, and you do talk a lot about the power of leveraging social media. Is there much buy-in, or do some people still take the attitude of, oh, look, I want to get to the next job. I'm busy. I haven't got time to spend that 5 minutes, 10 minutes doing it.
No, we're trying to, and that's the thing. That's the problem, John. Like a lot of the times, if you look at the Jim's Mowing Google business profiles, you'll see one with 1 review, 5 reviews, 2 reviews, or whatever, and no one responds to the comments because the franchisees just get their regular customers and they're busy and they don't worry about that. So we're really trying to educate them that if times are tough or if economic environment changes or whatever, and you need leads again, if you don't have that well-reviewed Google business profile, you're sort of on the back foot, and then your franchisor has to spend a lot more money on Google Ads to try and generate you some inquiries. But if you have that well-reviewed Google business profile there, even if you turned off leads, you're going to still have leads going to other franchisees in the area and keeping that person within the system and all that sort of stuff as well. But yes, it is a problem getting buy-in, which is why I've invested a lot of time making the franchisee and franchisor intranet. So if a franchisee reaches out to Jim and says, I've got no work or I'm struggling whatsoever, Jim will go to the intranet, get all the videos of where franchisees talk about how to generate more work and get reviews and stuff like that, and sends it to the franchisees and puts a bit more onus on them. Because franchisors can spend spend a lot of money on Google ads and generating leads for franchisees. And the ones who don't have any regulars and stuff like that, it's always a big concern. So we need to try and do more to educate franchisees from the start, just how important it is. So we've got the intranet. We've also got a video review program that we're putting in for the whole group, which is a 4-week video series with Jim going to the franchisees over 4 weeks as well. We're just hoping to try and just keep putting in there as well. But there's really no excuse for franchisees. What we need to do, though, is we need to keep hitting over the point of how it's actually going to make them more dollars if they take that small action to do it.
Okay, so now let's talk about franchisors a bit, who have to guide and mentor these franchisees along their journey. So what's some of the leadership lessons you've learned at your time at gyms that, like business owners do and instill through the network?
Yeah, well, the franchisors, we got a lot of them, and there's really high expectations on franchisors, as they all know. If they do the wrong thing, they get a big whack pretty quickly. And it can be quite a thankless job sometimes. If you've got 50 franchisees and you've got 2 ones that are maybe really negative, or they're at that point where they're negative and they're causing a lot of grief, it can cause a lot of mental anguish to franchisors as well, which we need to remember. But the best franchisors are just the ones who win all the awards. Is generally when the franchisee calls, they get back to them straight away, or they answer the phone straight away. They're regularly providing helpful advice in their meetings and bringing in external people to provide extra value to their business as well. And they're just there as an extra support. A lot of the times it's not business. Sometimes it might just be a checking if they've got a family situation and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of them will tailor their support as well to the different franchisees where they are in their sort of their journey too as well, and be really helpful. Like, some franchisors have contracts that they do for their franchisees, which is a great way to keep them in the system as well. Or they'll have, people in the network that they can refer the franchisees onto to help them build a business, or they've come across this situation and that. They're sort of like a central knowledge hub. They're not like a in-person knowledge hub for everything gyms and everything business. And the advantage of franchisors is that they get to deal with, especially in gyms mowing, gyms cleaning, and other divisions where they've got a lot of franchisees. They're dealing with, let's say, in some cases, let's say they've got 100 franchisees, 100 different businesses. This guy runs as a sole trader. This guy has 4 people. This guy has 3 people. This guy employs people with disabilities, all these different things, right? So they get to see 100 different businesses and how they operate, and they know who does what or where things go wrong. And then a franchisee who needs support from that franchisor, they will have all that knowledge in their head, or know someone in the group that can provide them with it. It's almost like I had this in the modern day when people join masterminds and all that sort of stuff, and they pay a lot of money to join a mastermind, and they're with 20 or 30 other business owners. The gyms group give everyone who's in a region with multiple franchisees, they get access to their own mastermind, which is let's say the more modern term. But gyms groups had that for years, where regular meetings, regular Zooms, all that sort of stuff, where they can talk to other business owners, and obviously WhatsApp groups and things like that. But the franchisors who do well, they're really responsive. They've got great communication. They provide value in their meetings and their newsletters and stuff like that. So they're there as the central business hub. But that's probably the main qualities.
Let's talk about the franchisees again for a minute. Franchisees, as you said a bit earlier, sometimes they've spent their life savings. It's a lot of money, 30, 40 grand, but they've come out of a job that they may have been in for, 20 years, 25 years, and they're making that big, bold step into another career. They were a nurse, they were a police officer, they were an office worker, corporate. That's quite a bold move to be making those sorts of steps. So what are some of the qualities you've seen of these people who have stepped out of that into this new space and have managed to make it work?
Oh, look, I think corporates are great because they're obviously smart people. Most of them anyway. But I think a lot of the corporates are great. They've got a lot of high level thinking. But I think once they make that mindset shift of not being able to see a result for a long time, let's say they join mine, for example, and they can go and get job satisfaction from day one. 10 jobs done. I can see 10 jobs complete, model job satisfaction. Once they get that dollar amount paying that first invoice that they've done for their work, something just flicks in their head and they just go bang and build a great business as well. Police officers and nurses. Police officers are great. And nurses are great because there's obviously a lot of procedures and structure they have to follow in their business. And the gyms, as you know, it's a franchise. You've got to follow the system. So people who come from some sort of structured environment where they're used to following process and procedures, and they just trust the system and go with it, do really, really well. When someone's really too entrepreneurial, wants to step outside the system and stuff, they don't really do too well. But we do a lot of interviews with nurses and cops and corporates so that people who are in those fields can watch it and hear what they say about it. And literally we ask them about it as well. And the difference that they have mainly when they come and do the franchise is you'd think it'd be more stressful doing a business, a small business. But from when I do all these interviews, it's the complete opposite. You think it'd be stressful doing small business for the first time, all that sort of stuff, as opposed to you're on a 6-figure corporate job. But when you hear these stories and just how stressed and overworked they are and they don't have time with their family, and now they can do this small business with the gym system, which gives them a massive leg up, they've always had it in them. They just never had sometimes the confidence or the knowledge or the self-esteem to take that step. And then I get a really good kick out of meeting someone from training and then interviewing them 12 months later, and they all say the same thing. Should have done it years ago. And they always had it in them. It was just a matter of knowing how and trusting the franchise system to do it. That's maybe most of our battle is how do we just keep building that trust in the gym's franchise system? And we do that through content to give people like that the opportunity to do it, because they can all do it. It's just a matter of them coming along and taking that step. I think the great sign for gyms, John, is we have many franchisors and franchisees who bring their kids in the business. And I think, Chris Hansen, for example, I interviewed him last week, 23 years with gyms. His dad, Peter, used to work for Jim and started up Jim's Mowing Sydney. Now his son's been in with us for 23 years. Like multi-generation franchisees and franchisors, I think it's a really great, because no one's going to bring their kid into something that's not good. So I think that's a great sign for our brand and a really good signal for the system.
Yeah, I mean, that's fundamental human nature, isn't it? Is you want your kids to do better than you've done. So if you're bringing them into a business that you've been in, then clearly you're advocating for the business and how successful you can be in that business. Else you wouldn't do it. You would send them somewhere else. Let's go back to the content creation. Franchisees, do they need to create content, and should they be doing long form videos, or should they be just doing the little 5-minute posts that they whack on their socials?
Most franchisees now are doing like 60-second shorts, on their feed, like just with the phone video. Someone might film them, or they just put their phone on a stand and film the job, or they might even talk to the phone themselves. We've got some really good content creators. We've got 2 pool care guys who've got the biggest pool care accounts in Australia, Jason and Brad, and their accounts are awesome. And they do that all with the phone. But it's generally oddly satisfying type stuff from start to finish, or maybe advice videos if they're in bookkeeping or something like that, and they're all doing it on their phones and creating it. So that's what they mainly do. Helpful advice, behind the scenes, and just out on the job, that sort of stuff. And that stuff's great, because that video, when you upload it then into Facebook or into Instagram or into whatever you've got, into YouTube, for example, which is obviously owned by Google, you're giving an extra signal to Google to show why is this person an authority in what they're doing in the area. So that's the point of it.
I'm getting from this conversation is create content, as well as do your day-to-day job as a franchisee, service to customers.
It's hard though. That's the thing. You got to be consistent over time. And everyone who succeeds in social, it's not an overnight thing. It's something where they've been doing it for 3 to 4 years consistently. And I know how hard it is, because my own social media sort of lacks on a couple of platforms, and it's just because I don't have the systems or the time in place to create the content I want. But I do that obviously for gyms, but it's hard work. So you've got to then look at tools to make your life a lot easier, and also maybe dumb it down to one platform. So maybe pick one platform you want to get good on. So for me at the moment, I'm doing LinkedIn and TikTok. They're the only 2 I really concentrate on, Facebook, Instagram, and Afterthought. So if I'm a local business owner or a franchisee, I'd recommend just concentrating on 1 or 2 platforms, which can maybe cross-post to each other, like Facebook and Instagram link to each other, or you might want to get really known on LinkedIn as a fire safety guy, whatever it is, and just concentrate on posting every day on that. And that way you'll keep your sanity. And that's what our pool care guys did. They just concentrated on TikTok, and that's it. They obviously take their videos eventually and repurpose them across YouTube and Instagram, but they just do it for TikTok, and they've got massive accounts on that. So just stick to one platform and just get your phone out and start creating, and don't overthink it.
Yeah, fair enough. And don't try and get perfection either. What are some of the biggest challenges of working within such a large and diverse franchise system now that you've got 50 divisions and speaking to hundreds of franchisees throughout the week?
Look, gyms is like any other organization. It's a great place to work. It can be a challenging place to work. Obviously work with Jim pretty closely, and we're talking on emails every day, and Jim's relentless and doesn't stop. But yeah, you've got so many different divisions, and there's different needs, and every division is unique. It's why I find it hard to hand off the social, because if you do a wrong thing on social media, you get a franchisor on Saturday messaging you a screenshot saying that's spelling wrong, or that's not right about my division. So there's so many different things you've got to remember about different divisions and what to post and what not to post. So yeah, it can be very complicated. I think the hardest thing is just franchisors and divisions got a lot on their plate. And it's just more about trying to give them resources and tools and make it as easy as them as possible to try and replicate what we do across on their pages. So I do the Jim's Mowing stuff personally, so all the Jim's Mowing stuff's using my system, but then trying to educate the franchisors about the value of what we do and how we do it, and getting them to implement it. But the reason why the group's grown, John, I'll tell you this, is because franchisors are responsible for advertising for their own franchisees. Now, the video team, we do all the interviews and stuff. Essentially, we're creating recruitment content for every single franchisor in the group, and they have to do nothing and spend no money. So that's where the growth's really been, is because we're creating all the recruitment content for them, which is stuff they probably could have done themselves, but it can be expensive and nowhere to start. So that's probably been the secret to our growth, is that we give anyone who's a franchisor in the gyms group has access to us to create your interviews for free. We'll create your recruitment content for free and post about your brand all over the post for free, and we make it really, really easy. So that's probably where the growth's been for us.
Yeah, and it keeps perpetuating and it keeps growing from there. Joel, you're a franchise consultant now. You've done amazing things with the Gyms Group. Congratulations. How can people find you?
I've got a website called joelkleber.com and a newsletter called franchisemarketer.com. And what I do in the franchise marketer newsletter is I try and give specific franchise strategies that I've used in gyms and just put it down as writing, because my goal is to try and be known as the best content marketer for franchising in the world. That's my goal. I'm not known in the UK. I'm not known in the US yet anyway. I've done some stuff over there. That's my goal. So I try and share as much knowledge as I can in there. And the thing about it is that stuff that's worked, and it's stuff that I basically spend a lot of time reading a lot of stuff about AI and marketing in general and trying to apply it into franchising, but they're probably the best ways.
It's a good resource. Thanks for putting that out. It's really, really, really good stuff.
No,
I'll put those links in the description. Joel, you're a legend. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I really appreciate that you've given up your time quite generously when I've met you in person and also online to support this particular podcast at this time as well. So thanks.
No worries, John. Look, you're part of the Gyms family, and we'll help any franchisor. So we'll help any franchisor or franchisee. So if you ever need advice, or anyone in gyms needs advice, we're happy to help.
Legend.
Thank you.